Now you factor in a guy like Montez Sweat, who has shown he's an elite rusher, and dare I say, almost feels like he fits this Bears defense better than he did in Washington, because he's just been a game wrecker, especially the last 3 games. 3 games, 3.5 sacks for him so far, and he has elevated the play of other guys on the line. And Q, that kind of turns us to our next topic here, which is the Tez effect, right? We heard about this, when they got him and Eberflus, the Tez effect. And everybody's like, what the hell is this stupid, corny Tez effect? We're starting to see it now, because a guy that you loved so much coming into the season, Javon Dexter, is starting to eat playing on the same side as Montez Sweat right now on this defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, Montez Sweat is a freak of a human being. Like, you go to mockdraftable.com and you pull up his spider chart. They don't build him like that very often. Long arms, long limbed, tall, strong, and fast. This guy ran like a 4.40. Like, I mean, just fast, and I believe his agility was somewhere around average to above average. When you're long limbed like that, usually can't change direction that well. So he is a lot for any single person to handle, and he requires 2 people's attention very often, which, when you got a guy like Javon Dexter, who's strong enough that you say, I'm not sure we can leave one guy on him. It's sometimes football's that simple. You got 2 freak guys like that, you're talking about taking up 4 of the offensive line, which you just can't do. So someone's going to have a one-on-one. It's either Dexter or Sweat. And we've seen all season long, when Dexter gets one-on-ones, we tend to like the results.
100%. And again, too, just to add to that, Q, I think when you have that front 4 right now, and you can play the 5-on-4 game effectively, because there's more than one guy on that line that usually requires a second eye. Anytime you can give a defensive lineman one-on-one, they're probably going to have a chance to make something happen. And if a team wants to neutralize a 4-man pass rush, guess what you got to do? You got to keep men in to protect. And you know what that does, Q? Like you said, that frees up your DBs, that frees up your linebackers in coverage. Then all of a sudden, you're 7 guys back. Looks even more daunting and more overwhelming. And we even saw it. I keep thinking back to the bunch play that Detroit had in the game on that crucial 3rd down that ultimately set up that 4th down, when Sweat got in there with the sack, where you just saw the corners just effortlessly pass it off. Yeah. It was beautiful. It was majestic. It was so covered up. Even if Goff wasn't having pressure in his face in 2.5 seconds, he had no chance. There was nothing there for the Bears to do. And again, it proves to show that they were true. We said it. Hey, they really need one elite pass rusher. They got it. And we're starting to see that here with the Tez effect. Q, what else have you noticed on this defensive line so far? I know you're always in the trenches in the film room. Who are some of the other guys right now that are benefiting from a guy like Montez Sweat? And who do you think maybe in these last 4 games is a good candidate to continue upping their game even more, playing opposite number 98?
I mean, Justin Jones has started to come on and look like a lot more than we've ever seen him be in Chicago. Like, I mean, he's been here and he's always just kind of been there. Like, not really anything that noticeable. He's just he does his job against the run most of the time and doesn't create much push, but we're starting to see some situations where he's getting in the backfield pretty quick and able to use that first step of his a lot better off the attention that Sweat's getting. And don't look now, but Zach Pickens is making some noise. Like, he's climbing up that depth chart, I think, or not depth chart, but like his snap counts are climbing, and he's just getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And I didn't distinctly review any of the tape from the last 2 weeks on defense. I focused only on the offense, but just from what I've seen in games, I really feel like Pickens is going to start getting more and more run here, because especially whenever they get him at 3 technique, it feels like he's making plays.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it just continues to show how nice it's been now with the Sweat edition, having, in my opinion, 3 very athletic defensive tackles, 3 guys that, in my opinion, can play the 3. I think Pickens and Jones are probably more equipped than a guy like Dexter. I think Dexter's just, like we've talked about before, he's built to be a 1 technique. Yeah. But when you have 3 of those guys like that they can rotate, opposite an incredibly effective Andrew Billings, who continues to get his flowers over the course of the season. And we continue to see it on a week in, week out basis and the impact he has on the run game. It just gives his team so much flexibility to be fresh. And then you have that relentless pass rush on third down, on fourth down, even when the Lions decide to go for it on fourth down like 15 freaking times on Sunday. They're able to get after the quarterback. And I agree with you. The more and more, Q, that I watch Pickens, I know we love what we've seen out of Dexter. We continue to see him grow. Scott from Iowa in the comments says he bets that Dexter will have 3+ sacks the rest of the season. He says, #book it. But Pickens is a guy, Q, that, right, we wanted to see that linear growth. Maybe we see a huge spike here in these last 4 games as they continue to turn the tide in the last quarter of the schedule.
Yeah, I think so. As long as he's getting those opportunities at 3 technique, I don't see why he wouldn't be. I mean, we've seen him win with the first step. Like, that's what you drafted him for, and we know that that's there. We just flat out know it's there. Now, do we worry that he might get washed out of run lane sometimes? Sure, but I think realistically, you're looking at Pickens as a rotational guy long term, and that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, on the Dexter front, like, man, when I was watching his tape from Florida, there were some flashes where I was like, pie in the sky. I was like, this guy, his frame, his strength, his quickness, sometimes, like, he could be a Jeffrey Simmons type player. And then I've never spoken that. I've never written that because I was like, it's pie in the sky. That's too much. Be real. But I'm starting to wonder if that might be more there than I wanted to admit. Like, and he has a long way to go, to be clear. Long way to go become a Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is a freak, a monster. He is so good at football. But I'm starting to, like, you don't find players who have a get off that good. And in college, he didn't. And that's why I didn't say it, because the get off wasn't there. But the strength was. And you can see in the testing numbers, the athleticism was there. And you get a guy who's getting that get off like that with the strength and size that Dexter has. There's really not many comps to that.
Yeah, it's a unique set of skills that a guy like Javon Dexter has. Completely agree with you there.